small city, really country. It was pretty much segregated, like in the 1950s. And there was this hardware store. They had, you know, those, what are they called? Like Aunt Jemima type dolls and stuff, like the black dolls with the black big lips and stuff, and the lady with the bonnet on her head and stuff, you know, the stereotypical dolls. Well, that hardware store had that. So I'm like, God, I'm living in the 1950s. This is like a nightmare. So that's the type of city I was living in. Very segregated, racist. Everybody, you know, this side is for these people, this other side is for these people, and the side that's for a certain type of people, the utility bills were between $500 and $1,000. Meanwhile, rent was like $600, but I'm paying almost $1,000 for utilities. That is absolutely crazy, but the people on the other side of town did not pay that much. But anyway, so as I stayed there like less than a year, because I broke my lease because somebody kept breaking into my apartment. Well, it was like a duplex, but the first time that it happened, I called the police. Me and my kids were at the movies, and we came home, and I noticed, like, we had 3 bedrooms, and they shared a room, and then that third one was like their playroom, my computer room or whatever. And in that room with the computer and their toys and stuff, that window was open. And I'm like, this is really weird, because I don't open the window. And my kids were really young then, like too young to know to open a window or know how, or to even, they can't reach the latch that's on top. So I'm like, there's no way they could have opened it before we left. And so I called the police. He, excuse me, he came out. And, you know, he looked around inside, outside. He's like, is anything missing? And I was like, I don't think anything's missing. You know, it was just startled me, because I'm like, the window should not have been up. I didn't open it. And then he's like, well, I don't see anything. I think maybe your kids did it. And I'm like, my kids? And I'm like, they can barely even reach the window sill. Like, I don't think they did it. And he's like, well, you know, I don't see any evidence. You know, if anything happens, just give us a call again. And so I'm just like, that is very strange that he would just dismiss me like that and say my kids opened the window. They were at the movie theater with me. And I know for sure I didn't open the window before I left, because I never opened the window. So I don't know. And so, like, the window would continue to be open when I left. Like, what I mean is, I would leave and go work or go somewhere and come home, and the window would be open. And so I started putting alarms on all the windows. But when I go home, then the alarm will be going off. So I ended up requesting that they put a bar on the window or fix the window or do something, because every time I'm gone, this window is up. So somebody's going into my place every time I leave. They wouldn't put a bar on it. They wouldn't change the window. They wouldn't do anything. So they just let me out my lease, and then I moved to a different city, like maybe 20 or 30 minutes away.